Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. Today I am going to recap a 1995 drama movie named Showgirls, so let's begin. Nomi leaves for Vegas holding just a suitcase. She goes to the roadside where she waves for a cab and a guy named Jeff stops. Jeff tries to talk with her but she brings out a knife and tells him not to get familiar. He drifts that car, angrily telling her he will drop her off if she doesn't want him to talk, so she talks with him. She tells him her name, and they talk about Vegas. She tells him she is coming to Vegas to be a dancer, although this is her first time there. Jeff tells her he has an uncle in Vegas, and his uncle is a host. He asks her if she gambles, and as they get to Vegas he stops at a gambling center, tells her not to take away her suit and asks her to enter. He gives her some money, asks her to gamble with it while he goes to meet his uncle and asks him if he has a job vacancy for her. Naively, Nomi stays in the gambling room playing her games. When she goes outside, Jeff has driven his car away with her box. She angry hits the car beside her repeatedly until the car owner, a young lady, comes to her. They drag each other for a while and Nomi keeps screaming about her suitcase. She attempts to dump her into a car on the road, but this girl stops and takes her to a bar. They sit to talk. She introduces herself as Molly. She is a costume designer. Nomi tells Molly that she is new in Vegas and her suitcase has been stolen, so Molly invites her to stay with her at her home till she gets a job. 6 weeks later, Molly enters and meets Nomi painting her nails. She comments that the nail is fine and then begs Nomi to follow her to her workplace. They both go to the Stardust Casino show Goddess. After dressing up the cast, they all go and they watch Crystal Connors, a topless dance star of the casino. After the show, Crystal does her interviews and she calls Molly to help her with her costume. Molly takes Nomi backstage where they compliment Crystal's skills in a flower from Andrew Carver. Molly introduces Nomi to Crystal and tells Crystal Nomi also dances. Crystal asks where Nomi dances, and Nomi replies it's at the Cheetah Topless Club. Sarcastically, Crystal comments that she doesn't know what Nomi is good at, and she also doesn't know what Nomi dances, but if she dances at Cheetah then she isn't a dancer, thereby implying that Nomi is into prostitution. Angrily, Nomi walks out backstage before Molly goes after her. Crystal tells Molly that she likes Nomi's nails and asks if Nomi can help her with hers. Molly goes to meet Nomi angrily. She is pissed at Nomi for getting her client angry, but she still asks her dear friend if she wants her to drive her to work. Nomi refuses to go to work, so Molly takes her to a club. She dances away her sorrows in the club and she meets a bouncer, James. James asks to dance with her and she accepts. As they dance, she hits James on his balls and he falls on another guest. The fight starts at the bar and Nomi is arrested. The following day she is released from the police station after James processes her bail. He tries to talk to her and even asks her for coffee, but she refuses and she enters Molly's car. She goes to work that evening. Crystal visits her bar and asks her to dance privately for her and her boyfriend Zach. She refuses, although Crystal offers, and when the offer gets to $500, her boss AI insists she does the dance, and she takes the privately where she dances for Zach and Crystal watches her. She leaves work angrily after collecting her money. Then she returns home. The following day James visits her. He tells her she is more than those topless dances and she is just them. He tells her he saw her with Crystal and Zach the night before and she wonders if he is stalking her. She sends him away and then waits for Molly by a park. Molly arrives and happily announces to her that she got in. They both go shopping, and that night, Nomi returns to work. At work she meets Phil Newkirk of Stardust Hotel, who tells her there is a vacancy for a lead role at Goddess and asks her to apply. She announces this to Molly happily and goes for her audition. She dresses on a top, and the show director Tony Moss insults her. She tears her top and returns on her bra. He accepts her to qualify for the next stage. They all do a dance competition and she is part of the 3 people that qualify for the next stage. Since it's a topless show, Moss asks them to remove their top and dance. He comments that her nipples aren't pointing and brings ice to rub her nipples. She gets angry, throws the ice away and goes to the changing room where Crystal meets her. She confronts Crystal to know if Crystal recommended her for the audition, and Crystal replies affirmatively, telling her she enjoys her dance, but she replies that she hates Crystal. On her way home she meets James where he works. He talks to her and loses his job. They go out together that day, and she ends the day in his room where he tells her he did a number for her and she will teach her how to dance. As she dances with him, he touches her and attempts to finger her, but she tells him she is on her period he touches her to confirm, and when he confirms he tells her he can use a towel, but she tells him she can only have intercourse with him when she is sure he loves her. She gets home and Molly tells her mom called. She shockingly calls Moss back, finding out she has gotten the job. She goes to her workplace happily to pack her loads, then stops at James's house to share the good news, but sees her colleague Penny on his bed naked. She leaves immediately. She resumes as a goddess, and Moss orders her to watch her mate and learn fast. She catches up so fast that she joins them on the night show. During her makeup, Molly comes to cheer her up. She goes for the dance and she does well. When she returns, she meets a flower on her desk from Zach. She takes the flower and walks out with Molly, but they meet James on their way. He tells her he has a problem with __, and she indeed wrote the number for her, but he only offered to give Penny to get her. He asks who gave her the flowers, but she doesn't reply. Zach walks in about the same time, and she appreciates Jack for the flowers. James calls Zach a pimp, but she pays him no attention and walks out. She meets with Crystal again, who admits they met on the wrong note and asks her out on a date. During the date, she tells Nomi that they are the same and are, but Nomi insists she isn't. As they leave, she asks Nomi to dance with her, and during the dance she touches Nomi's breasts and kisses her. She repeats that Nomi is a prostitute, and Nomi gets angry and walks out. During her next show, Phil asks her if she will be interested in joining a boat convention for $1,000. The offer sounds great to her, so she accepts. Molly tries to warn her not to go, but Crystal doesn't allow Molly to talk with her. She gets to the convention and finds out Phil is pimping them out, and it was Crystal who recommended her to Phil. She returns to Crystal and calls Zach. She tells Zach what had happened, and Zach calls Phil and warns him. She notices Jack as falling for her and decides to use him to revenge against Crystal. They go for their dancing show that night. After the show, she returns home with Zach and she has intercourse with him the following day. Zach tells her Crystal needs a new understudy and she should go for the audition at noon. She goes there and Crystal notices Zach is now on her side. She asks Zach if he has slept with her, and her replies by asking her if she is jealous or angry that he beat her to it. Zach gives Nomi the job, although her co-workers and Crystal aren't happy with it. She goes to the bar with James where Penny presents her numbers and James tells her Penny is pregnant with his child. She returns to work only to find out that her new position has been withdrawn. She goes to confront Zach, who tells her Crystal threatened with her lawyers and they had no choice. So after that evening's show, she pushes Crystal off the stairs and denies her involvement. Crystal gets a broken side rib and can no longer dance. Nomi takes her position and eventually becomes a star. As a celebration party, Zach tells her he has organized a show for her and their crush Andrew Carter will be there. She asks Molly to follow her, but Molly refuses. Molly tells her she knows she was the one that pushed Crystal off the stairs and she is not interested in friendship with her again. She begs Molly over and over, but Molly refuses. She attends the party with Zach and Molly changes her mind to surprise her. At the party, Zach introduces them to Andrew, who starts making out with Molly and takes her into a room. He locks the door and two other men come out. They hit Molly and gang raped her. She is taken to the hospital and Nomi insists that Andrew should be arrested. Nomi tries to call the police and Zach calls her real name Polly. He tells her father killed her mother and himself while she ran away from her foster home and had committed several crimes before coming to Las Vegas. He tells her he will expose her if she attempts to report Andrew as a crew member just like her, and says if she is so in love with Molly they will pay Molly a large bribe. Unable to get justice for her friend, she goes to Andrew, kisses him and brings out a gun. She hits him repeatedly and elegantly leaves to announce her act to Molly. As she leaves the hospital, she visits Crystal to apologize, but she tells him there is no need for an apology. She asks Crystal why she didn't tell anyone, and Crystal replies that she needed a break and she also got a huge settlement, so she is good. Crystal asks her for a kiss. They kiss and Nomi leaves. She decides to table to Los Angeles and she takes Jeff's car again. On their way, she brings out her knife and asks Jeff for her suitcase. They zoom at Nomi's picture as a goddess and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.